Hey there, I made a fringe twister to help me twist fringes when I make, in my case, Sanche Fléché Voyageur sashes, because I hate making fringes by hand. Normally I'm not really into mechanization, but in this case, since I dislike it so much, I'm making an exception. So the manual way of doing it is you take, maybe two threads, or pieces of yarn. And what you have to do is manually, you basically over twist the ply. And then you pass them over each other. And all the time, you got to keep adding the twist back so it doesn't get lost. And you just work all the way down like this. Now it's quite tedious, and because you're always holding the twist, it can get to be really kind of a cramp on the hands and stuff like that. But that's the way to do it manually. And what happens is the over twist of the ply kind of twists back on itself and basically creates a stable fringe that's not going to go anywhere. Anyway, that's the manual way. And when you're doing just one end of the sash, there's a lot of ends. And this isn't even that big of a sash. But this can be done for scarves and stuff like that too. Anyway, that's the manual way. I'm going to show you now the automated way. Okay, so this here is my fringe twister. It's based on examples I've seen online. Particular one famous spinning wheel and loom manufacturer sells one, but I found it quite expensive. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna make my own. And the way I did it was I used basically some coat hanger, and that allowed me to sort of bend and make this jog in the bend. I bought some alligator clips from local hardware store for like $5 basically, and I made a little wooden frame to hold it. And so what happens is, as you move this thing around, they all kind of turn in unison. Pretty cool. So I'm going to take again my two fringes like I did before on my sash, and making sure they're the same length. I'm just going to put each one barely into the end of the alligator clip. Right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build up a whole bunch of twist. Like really tight. Some people count so that they're consistent, when they do all the fringes. I'm just going by eye feel or whatever. Looking like that, that's pretty darn good. Okay, now the slightly tricky bit is these are under a lot of tension. So when you take them out, you gotta hold them, make sure they don't take off on you. The other thing I'm gonna do now is, again, watching that the ends don't unspin on you, I'm gonna tie the whole things into a little kind of knot in the end. Make sure the kink doesn't get trapped, right? And now what happens is if I let it go, or if I'll help it along, it'll twist in the opposite direction. And it pretty much does it all on its own until it reaches a stable point where all that energy has been translated back into making a stable fringe. 2-ply fringe. I've done 4-ply because I can. I've got 4 alligator clips and I use contrasting colors in this case. And it makes a really nice, kind of ropey effect. Pretty cool, and saves a lot of work. Can whip out a fringe and pretty darn quick compared to doing it by hand, and your fingers don't get cramped and stuff like that. It was, for me, a worthwhile thing to do, and material costs, like I said, were barely anything, because to buy them they can be somewhat more expensive. Anyway, that's it. Thanks.